to Deep Sleep Stories. If these stories have helped you through restless nights, please leave a review. Reviews are what help this podcast grow, reach more listeners, and stay alive. Without them, even something meaningful can slowly disappear. So if this show has brought you comfort, that small act truly helps keep it going. Now, settle in, and let's begin.
Welcome to Deep Sleep Stories, where you can set down the day like a heavy coat and let comfort settle over you. Tonight, you'll drift into a dreamy tale about a hidden cottage filled with the softest pillows, where every breath becomes a little lighter and every thought grows quieter. You can begin by letting your body find its most natural rest. Feel the support beneath you steady and patient. Notice how the air meets your skin, cool or warm, and how it moves in and out without needing to be guided. If it feels good, take a slow breath in and let it go with a gentle sigh. Again, breathing in as though you're sipping calm from the air, breathing out as though you're releasing a ribbon of tension. Imagine a peaceful evening arriving like a soft blanket. The world outside is hushed, as if the trees have decided to whisper instead of speak. Somewhere, a small lamp glows behind a window, and that glow seems to promise ease. With each breath, allow your shoulders to loosen. Let your jaw unclench. Let the space behind your eyes soften, as if your thoughts are settling into a quiet corner. You don't have to hold on to anything now. You don't have to solve, plan, remember, or prepare. You can simply listen and let the story carry you the way a gentle stream carries a fallen leaf. Slowly, smoothly, without effort. And now, as the quiet deepens, the tale begins. For those who moved softly enough to notice the small invitations the world sometimes offers. A cluster of pale flowers leaning toward a seam in the hedge, a breeze that smelled faintly of lavender and rain, a hush that felt like being welcomed rather than warned away. On an evening when the sky wore its dusk colors, smoky blue and deepening violet, someone wandered near that valley. Not with urgency, not with fear, just a quiet traveler, unburdened by loud intentions. The traveler's name hardly mattered, because names belonged to waking hours, and this valley was already beginning to feel like a place the night had made for dreaming. The traveler moved at an unhurried pace, stepping over smooth stones, passing low shrubs that brushed the ankles like friendly cats. The air was cool and kind. It carried the scent of damp earth and pine needles, and somewhere nearby, water made a small constant sound, like a secret being told over and over until it became soothing. As the traveler went on, the path became softer underfoot. It changed from packed soil to moss, thick and springy, as if the ground itself wished to offer comfort. The traveler's shoulders, which had held invisible weight for a long time, began to drop. Breath became slower. Thoughts drifted, less sharp around the edges. The valley opened wider, and with it came a gentle surprise. A patch of tall grass swayed in a slow rhythm, and beyond it sat a cottage. Cottage was built from pale stone, the cottage was built from pale stone that held the last light of the day. Its roof was a soft slope of weathered shingles, dotted with a little moss, as though time had been kind to it. Vines climbed one side and their leaves trembled in the breeze, like small green hands waving hello. In the cottage window, a lantern glowed. The light did not glare. It pooled gently golden and calm, spilling onto the garden path and making the stones look like they had been polished by moonlight. The traveler paused at the edge of the garden, not quite sure whether this place was meant to be entered. But the gate was slightly open, as if it had been left that way on purpose. And the air around the cottage held a softness, a feeling that the world here expected nothing and demanded nothing. A small sign hung by the gate. It was carved from pale wood, and the letters were simple, hand-shaped, almost tender in their curves. They read, "Cottage of the Softest Pillows." The traveler felt a quiet curiosity, the kind that doesn't spark restlessness, but instead invites a gentle leaning in. A nightbird called once, a low sound that echoed like a lullaby. The traveler stepped through the gate. The garden was not arranged in rigid lines. It was a garden that had been allowed to be itself. Herbs grew in friendly clusters: mint, chamomile, thyme. Their scent rose as the traveler passed, soothing and familiar, like an old comfort remembered from childhood. Tall white flowers opened like slow lanterns, and small purple blossoms dotted the ground like scattered dusk. A wind chime hung beneath the porch roof. When the breeze moved, it sang a sound so delicate it seemed to brush the inside of the ears rather than enter them. The traveler found that with each chime the mind grew quieter, as if the sound had a gentle authority over worry. The cottage door was painted a deep, comforting color, somewhere between the blue of evening and the green of a shaded forest. At its center, a round knocker gleamed like a small moon. The traveler raised a hand, touched the metal lightly, and knocked. Warm cream. Their hair was silver, soft as warm cream. Their hair was silver, soft as thistledown, and their eyes were bright and calm. There was nothing startling about them. They looked like the kind of person who knew how to make tea taste like peace. "Ah," the figure said, voice low and gentle. "A tired soul has found the path." The traveler meant to speak, perhaps to ask if this place was real or if it was allowed to be here. But words felt unnecessary, heavy and clumsy. The figure seemed to understand without being told. "Come in," they murmured. "No need to explain. Rest doesn't require a reason." The traveler stepped inside, and the cottage welcomed them the way a nest welcomes a bird. Warmth wrapped around the skin. The air smelled faintly of linen dried in sunlight, of honey, of soft wood. The floorboards did not creak sharply. They sighed, as if they were used to quiet footsteps. The main room was small but deeply comforting. A fireplace held a low, steady fire. Nothing roaring, nothing demanding attention. The flames moved slowly like golden fish in a quiet pond. A kettle sat near the heat, and its gentle, occasional whisper suggested it was preparing something soothing. But what truly caught the traveler's attention was the presence of pillows. They were everywhere, and yet not in a cluttered way. They were arranged with care and ease, as if the cottage itself had grown them like flowers. Pillows rested on benches and chairs, in window seats and woven baskets. Some were smooth and pale, others patterned with tiny stars. Some were round as moons, others long and draped like soft clouds. They looked impossibly inviting, like they held the secret of deep, perfect rest. The traveler stood still, breathing in the gentle warmth, and felt something inside unclench. The elderly host, perhaps a keeper, perhaps simply a friend of sleep, moved quietly toward a small table. "You've come at the right time," they said. "The pillows are at their softest when the day is done." They poured hot water into a cup, and the scent of chamomile rose, slow and golden. The host offered the cup, and the traveler accepted it with both hands, feeling the warmth seep into the palms. "Drink," the host said, "and let your eyelids grow heavy if they wish. This house doesn't mind." The traveler sipped. The tea was gentle and sweet, like meadow sunlight turned into flavor. As it slid down the throat, it seemed to soften the inside of the chest, easing a tightness the traveler hadn't realized was there. "Who are you?" the traveler asked at last, voice quiet as though speaking louder might startle the calm. The host smiled. "Some call me the pillow keeper, some call me the weaver of rest, but you may call me whatever makes you feel safe. Names are just little labels. Comfort is what matters." The traveler looked around again, drawn by the pillow's presence. They seemed to glow with softness. The traveler imagined sinking into them, letting them cradle the head and shoulders, letting them hold the weight of the day. The pillow keeper noticed the traveler's gaze. "Would you like to see where they come from?" they asked. The traveler nodded, already feeling as though nodding was the most effort they wished to spend. "Come," the pillow keeper said, and moved toward a narrow hallway. Their steps were quiet, and the traveler followed, cup in hand, leaving a faint trail of warmth behind. The hallway walls were lined with framed scenes, paintings or perhaps memories, each one peaceful. A field under moonlight, a lake so still it looked like a mirror, a cluster of sheep sleeping in a hollow of grass, a small fox curled in fallen leaves. The traveler felt their breath slow as they passed each frame, as though the images were teaching the body how to rest. At the end of the hallway was a door that looked older than the others. Its wood was worn smooth, as if many hands had touched it gently over time. The pillow keeper opened it, and the traveler stepped into a room that felt like stepping into a quiet dream. It was a workshop, but not like any workshop of noise and sharp tools. This workshop was filled with soft things. Rolls of fabric rested on shelves like sleeping animals. Baskets brimmed with fluffy stuffing that looked like spun clouds. Threads of pale color hung like moonbeams, and needles rested in pincushions shaped like tiny hills. In the center of the room stood a large table. On it lay a pillow in the Its cover was a light, creamy fabric, and it was being filled slowly, carefully, as though the act was sacred. The pillow keeper approached the table, fingertips resting lightly on the fabric. "Pillows are small places," they said. "They are little landscapes for the head. A good pillow doesn't just support you. It reminds your body that it is safe to let go." The traveler listened, and the words settled like warm sand in the mind, smoothing away sharp edges. "Where does the softness come from?" the traveler asked. The pillow keeper's eyes gleamed as though they were about to share a secret. "From the valley," they said, "from the air, from the hush that gathers when the sun sinks low. This is a place where softness grows naturally, the way wildflowers do." They reached toward a basket and lifted a handful of stuffing. It looked like ordinary fluff at first, but as the traveler watched, it shimmered faintly like mist in moonlight. "This is cloud down," the pillow keeper whispered. "It gathers at the edge of dreams, where the waking world becomes gentle and blurred. It drifts into the valley on nights when the moon is kind and the wind is willing to carry it." The traveler felt a quiet wonder, not bright and sharp, but soft and warm. "And the fabric?" they asked. The pillow keeper drew a finger along a roll of cloth. "Spun from sleep thread," they said. "It comes from the cocoons of moths that only fly at dusk. They feed on starlight, and their wings make no sound. They leave behind thread so smooth it can soothe a worried mind just by being touched." The traveler reached out and brushed the fabric gently. It felt cool and comforting, like the underside of a leaf, like a clean sheet warmed by sun earlier in the day. The traveler's fingertips tingled with ease. "And the patterns?" the traveler murmured, noticing a pillow nearby embroidered with tiny silver dots. "Are those stars?" The pillow keeper nodded. "Sometimes," they said. "Sometimes they are raindrops. Sometimes they are the slow footprints of a sleepy creature crossing a field at night. The patterns don't matter so much as the feeling. Each pillow holds a small intention, peace, safety, release. They are stitched with quiet wishes." The traveler watched as the pillow keeper lifted the pillow in progress, gave it a gentle shake, and set it down again. The pillow settled like a sigh. "Would you like to choose one?" the pillow keeper asked. The traveler's eyes drifted over the room. There were pillows of every kind. Some were plump and high, like little hills. Some were low and gentle, like calm water. Some were wrapped in silk that gleamed softly. Others in cotton that looked like morning light. Each one seemed to radiate a different flavor of comfort. The traveler approached a basket near the window, where several pillows rested together as if they were friends. One pillow stood out. It was a soft gray blue, like twilight. Along its edge ran a line of stitching that shimmered faintly, and when the traveler touched it, the fabric felt like cool air after a warm day. "This one," the traveler said quietly. The pillow keeper smiled. a twilight pillow," they said. "It helps you drift from thought into quiet, the way evening drifts into night." The traveler held the pillow carefully, as though it might be a small animal that could be startled. It was light, yet it had presence, as if it carried a gentle weight of peace. The pillow keeper turned toward the doorway. "Come back to the main room," they said. "The fire is low and the chairs are soft. You can rest a while." The traveler followed, pillow tucked under one arm, teacup now empty and left behind. The hallway seemed even quieter on the way back, and the paintings on the walls looked softer, their edges less distinct, as though the traveler's eyes were already learning the language of sleep. In the main room, the fire continued its slow dance. The lantern light made the corners of the cottage glow without shadows, feeling sharp. The pillow keeper gestured to a wide chair near the fireplace. It was upholstered in a fabric that looked like thick velvet, and it was surrounded by pillows of different shapes, like a nest. The traveler sat, and the chair seemed to accept them completely. The twilight pillow was placed behind the traveler's head, and the softness immediately spread down the neck, across the shoulders, through the spine. The traveler let out a breath that felt like it had been held for a very long time. The pillow keeper moved quietly about the room, doing small, soothing things. They added a log to the fire with care so the flames didn't leap too high. They adjusted a curtain so it fell in a gentler fold. They tidied a stack of folded blankets, each one looking thick and warm. Outside the window, night had fully arrived. The glass reflected the room's golden glow, and beyond it, the garden was a silver hush. The traveler could see faint movement, the slow sway of leaves, the soft dip of flowers. Somewhere an owl blinked awake. The pillow keeper sat in a rocking chair across from the traveler. The chair moved back and forth in a slow rhythm, like breathing made visible. "Tell me," the pillow keeper said, voice barely above the crackle of the fire, "what does your tiredness feel like?" The traveler considered. "Like a heavy cloak," they said, "like something I've been carrying all day." The pillow keeper nodded. "Then let this cottage hold it for a while," they said. "Here, you don't have to carry anything. The pillows will do the work." The traveler leaned back, and the twilight pillow cradled the head. The sensation was so gentle, it was almost surprising. It was as if the pillow knew the shape of the traveler's tiredness and had been made to fit it perfectly. As the chair held the traveler, something in the room began to feel different, not strange, not unsettling, simply softer, as if the air itself was turning into a lullaby. The pillow keeper spoke again, and their words drifted like feathers. "There is a reason this cottage exists," they said. "Long ago, when the valley was young, creatures of the night noticed that travelers often passed through here. With weary minds, they came with thoughts that wouldn't stop moving, like restless birds in a cage." The traveler listened, eyelids heavier now, as though the story itself was a blanket being pulled up. The creatures wanted to help, the pillow keeper continued, so they gathered the quietest things they could find. The hush between cricket songs, the softness of moss, the calm of moonlight on water. They wove those things together and made the first pillow. The fire flickered, and the traveler felt warmth on the cheeks. That pillow was placed beneath the traveler's head, the pillow keeper said, and as soon as the traveler rested upon it, the restless birds of thought grew still. The traveler slept, deep and safe, and when morning came, they woke with a gentle heart. The traveler's breathing slowed even more, matching the rocking chair's rhythm. From then on, the pillow keeper said, the cottage was built, not by hammers and loud tools, but by careful hands and quiet intentions. It was shaped from comfort, and it learned how to welcome anyone who needed rest. The traveler's mind pictured the valley's night creatures, moths stitched from dusk, foxes carrying pieces of moonlight, owls dropping soft feathers like gifts. The images were dreamy and calm, and the traveler didn't need them to be fully clear. It was enough to let them drift through like clouds. The pillow keeper stood again and moved toward a shelf. They lifted a small jar and opened it. A faint scent drifted out, lavender mixed with something like rain on warm stone. The pillow keeper dabbed a bit onto their hands, then moved around the room, touching the corners of pillows lightly, as if blessing them. "What are you doing?" the traveler murmured, voice already half asleep. "Helping the cottage sing," the pillow keeper replied. "Every home has a sound beneath its sounds. Some are sharp, some are busy. This one is meant to hum like a lullaby." The traveler's eyelids fluttered, and the room grew softer at the edges. In that gentle dimness, the traveler began to notice something subtle. The pillows seemed to breathe. Not in a way that was frightening, but in a way that made them feel alive with comfort. They rose and fell almost imperceptibly, as though they were sharing the traveler's slow rhythm. The pillow keeper returned to their chair, rocking again, and began humming. The hum was low and warm, like a purring cat, like a distant lullaby sung in a language older than words. It wrapped around the traveler's ears and slipped into the mind, smoothing it. The traveler's thoughts tried out of habit to wander back to the day. Little fragments floated up, an unfinished task, a remembered conversation, a worry about something that might happen. But each time a thought rose, the twilight pillow seemed to soften it, turning it into something harmless, like a leaf drifting on water. The traveler sank deeper into the chair. The fire's crackle became a gentle rhythm. The lantern light blurred. Then, as dreams often do, the story seemed to shift, quietly, without a jolt. It was as though the traveler, without moving at all, began to drift through the cottage in a dream walk. In this dream walk, the traveler found themselves standing again, but the body felt light, as if it were made of mist. The cottage was still there, glowing gently, but its rooms seemed larger now, opening like soft petals. The traveler wandered down a corridor that hadn't been noticed before. The floor was covered in thick rugs that felt like walking on warm sand. The walls were hung with curtains that moved slightly as if breathing. At the end of the corridor was another door, this one covered in carved swirls that looked like sleep itself. Spirals and waves and gentle loops. The traveler touched the door and it opened soundlessly. Inside was a room filled with pillows even more extraordinary than those in the main room. They were arranged in layers like clouds stacked in the sky. In the center of the room was a bed, wide and low, with blankets that looked like woven moonlight. The traveler approached, and the pillows seemed to shift, making space, inviting. A pillow shaped like a crescent moon rolled slightly as if offering itself. Another pillow, embroidered with tiny closed eyes, seemed to radiate a sleepy calm. The traveler sat on the edge of the bed, and the mattress gave gently like a calm wave welcoming a swimmer. The pillows around the traveler adjusted themselves, nestling close without crowding, as if they knew exactly how much space comfort required. In the dream walk, the traveler noticed a small table beside the bed. On it sat a book. Its cover was plain, the color of warm stone, and it had no title. The traveler opened it. Inside were not words but textures, pages that felt like soft fur, like smooth silk, like cool water, like warm bread. Each page, when touched, released a tiny memory of comfort, the sound of rain on a roof, the feeling of clean sheets, the scent of a loved blanket, the hush of snow falling at night. The traveler turned the pages slowly, and with each one, the heart softened. The body grew heavier in the best way, the way a stone grows heavy when it finally rests at the bottom of a stream. The traveler closed the book and lay back. The pillows rose up like gentle hands, cradling the head, the neck, the shoulders. One pillow supported the knees, easing the lower back. Another nestled against the traveler's side, as if to say, "You are not alone, even in sleep." Above, the ceiling of the room shimmered. It was not a plain ceiling at all. It was a quiet sky, filled with slow-moving stars. They drifted lazily, as if they too were becoming sleepy. The traveler watched the stars for a while. Time did not feel important here. The stars moved like thoughts that had become kind, drifting rather than pushing. A sound came, very faint, like distant waves. The traveler listened and realized it was the cottage itself, humming softly. It was a sound that did not demand attention. It simply existed, steady and soothing. In the distance, a bell chimed once, low and gentle. The traveler felt the chime in the chest, like a soft reminder to let go. And somewhere, as if from the edge of the dream, the pillow keeper's voice drifted in, calm as dusk. "Rest," it whispered. "Let the night carry you." The traveler's eyelids grew heavier. The stars above blurred into soft dots. The hum of the cottage became a gentle tide. The traveler's breathing slowed, deeper now, smoother. With each inhale, the chest rose like a calm wave. With each exhale, the body sank further into the pillow's embrace. The dream walk softened again, shifting without effort. The traveler was no longer in the pillow room, and yet the comfort remained. Now the traveler drifted outside, as if floating on a breeze. The valley lay under moonlight, silver and peaceful. The grass moved slowly, and the trees stood like quiet guardians. The stream whispered its endless story, and the stars above seemed to lean closer, curious and kind. In the garden, the flowers were closed, sleeping in their own gentle way. The herbs released their scent into the cool air as if they were breathing out calm. The cottage glowed softly behind the traveler, a warm pocket of light in the night. From its chimney, a thin ribbon of smoke rose, curling like a lullaby into the sky. The traveler floated over the path, feeling no fear, only ease. The valley seemed to hold the traveler the way a blanket holds warmth. As the traveler drifted, small creatures appeared, silent, gentle beings of the night. A moth with wings like velvet fluttered by, leaving a faint trail of shimmer. A rabbit sat beneath a bush, eyes half closed, breathing slow. A fox curled at the base of a tree, tail wrapped around its nose. None of them seemed startled by the traveler's presence. In this valley, everything belonged to rest. The traveler felt as if they could settle anywhere, on the moss and the grass beneath the trees, and sleep would come like a friend. But the softest pull remained the cottage, that gentle promise of pillows and warmth. So the traveler drifted back, not walking, not rushing, just returning like a leaf carried by a calm current. Inside the cottage, everything was quiet. The fire was lower now, a bed of glowing embers. The lantern light was dimmer, like a closing eye. The pillow keeper sat in the rocking chair, still moving slowly, their hum barely audible. The traveler in the dream returned to the chair by the fire. The twilight pillow waited, and when the traveler leaned back, it felt even softer than before, as if it had been warming itself for this moment. The pillow keeper's eyes were gentle. The valley has given you what you need, they whispered. Now you can let sleep do the rest. The traveler's mind, which had once been crowded, now felt spacious and quiet. Thoughts were few, and the ones that appeared were soft, like clouds. The traveler's hands rested easily. The shoulders were heavy in a peaceful way. The jaw was loose. The breath was steady. The cottage seemed to fade at the edges again, as dreams do, becoming less a place and more a feeling. Warmth, softness, safety. The pillow keeper's humming slowed, stretching into longer, quieter notes. The rocking chair moved more gently, as if even it was growing sleepy. Outside the window, the night deepened. The garden was still. The moon hung in the sky like a calm promise. The traveler's eyelids stayed closed now. The twilight pillow held the head as though it had always belonged there. The chair cradled the body. The air felt thick with peace. The pillow keeper stood one last time, moving like a shadow made of kindness. They placed a blanket over the traveler, light but warm, smelling faintly of lavender and clean linen. They tucked it gently, not too tight, just enough to feel held. Then the pillow keeper returned to their chair, and their voice drifted softly through the room. "Every pillow here has a secret," they whispered. "Not a secret that needs solving. A secret that simply is. The secret is this: you are allowed to rest. You are allowed to stop holding up the world. The world can wait. The night will watch over you." The traveler's breath became even slower. In and out. In and out. The fire's embers glowed like sleepy eyes. The lantern light dimmed further, turning the room into a gentle twilight. The cottage hummed, quieter now, as if it didn't want to disturb the growing stillness. And the traveler, wrapped in softness, began to drift down, 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 into sleep that felt like sinking into warm water, into sleep that felt like being carried. The story, too, began to quiet itself. The cottage remained in the valley, steady and kind. The pillows rested where they belonged, full of soft intentions. The garden slept. The stream whispered. The hills held the night like cupped hands. The pillow keeper's rocking slowed until it almost stopped. Their humming became a breath, and then a silence. Everything softened. Everything settled. And now you can let your own body settle too. Let your breathing be slow and natural. Let your thoughts drift away like mist. You don't need to follow the story anymore. You can simply rest. The cottage of the softest pillows is warm and quiet in the distance, and it will remain there, glowing softly, no matter how deeply you sleep. Good night, dear traveler. Sleep well.